Good evening, and welcome to a very special episode of Flirting with Realities. This is maybe, I was thinking it was maybe our 25th, but it might be the 26th episode, which is more special than the 25th because you've made it past the 25th.
Yes.
But if this is the 25th episode, that's also very special because it's a quarter of 100, which is a lot.
It is.
Yeah. So we've made it to however many, 25 or 26 episodes, and some said we couldn't do it.
Who was that?
I don't know. I don't know. Actually, nobody said that we couldn't do it. I don't think anybody's ever said anything about our podcast. In fact, nobody's said anything good, and nobody's ever said anything bad. We just
they're very indifferent
or non-existent.
Yeah.
It's just us talking to outer space. I tried to explain to my son what a vacuum was. This would be a good example of a vacuum, just nothing. Anyway, this is 25, 26, something like that. So we're doing good, and we don't care. I guess to me, this is the fun of it. I don't really.
To me too.
Yeah, I don't really care if anybody ever watches. It's still kind of it's like a fun Thursday night thing to do.
Well, it's that for me, and it's getting to 100, which nobody does, or I shouldn't say nobody, but very few people do. So I know you're this way, and I'm very much this way. I like to challenge myself and do hard things, and most people don't get past 10. So,
what do you remember any of the statistics on like who gets to 100 or who gets to 10 or anything like that?
I don't remember.
Just very, very few.
It was an astounding amount of people who don't get past 10 episodes.
Like crazy, like 90%, something huge, more than 90%.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I can't say what the percentage is, but it was a large percentage.
Yeah, so it's like, but it's what we talk about, right? It's like why, like, it's so easy to become discouraged. It's so easy to
talk yourself out of things.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch our previous episodes, it might not be you talking you out of things. It might be that inner voice, the devil side of you that's talking you out of things, which we don't know why it does, but it does. And so how limiting is that negative side of you that talks about those things, And if you think about that, like how many amazing podcasts could have been if those people would have pushed past 10 or
to
100, like how much. And I was actually thinking about this the other day. How much is lost in life because people don't believe in themselves or they don't chase dreams? How many like there's been mind-blowing inventions where people just couldn't follow through with it,
Yeah.
Like what if somebody invented like something 1,000 times better than the internet, but they were just like, I gotta go to work in the morning, and then
I'm sure it's happened
10 times over, 1,000 times over. It's kind of crazy to think about how much we limit ourselves, and maybe it's just not meant to be. I don't know. But so what's been going on in your life? Anything to update?
Well, I started the no phone usage thing, so that's been a pretty big deal for me this week.
You want to explain that?
It just so happened that it fell on the 1st. It has nothing to do with a New Year's resolution. It's just something I decided to do, and I was like, I'm doing it Monday or whatever. And anyway, so I am not using my phone other than texting. I'm allowing myself to text. Or if something needs to be done in business, like it did the other day, I needed to make something on Canva. But other than that, no social media. I'm not checking my emails. I do need to figure it out because there's like a few banking things that I need to do. I'm waiting the full week before I do that though, because I just don't want to touch my phone. I thought it was going to be hard. The only hard thing has been is, especially the first few days, how often I looked at my phone out of habit to go grab it and open it. I didn't open it, but it was in a pretty alarming amount of time.
You just wanted to look at it just to see if there's notifications or.
I think it just is habit. I don't really know what I didn't have a purpose on these days. Because I knew I had no, like, I'm not going to look at Instagram or I'm not going to look at my email. So it just literally was a pulling it out of my butt pocket and oh yeah, I'm not looking at this.
Well, it's funny because I catch myself looking at my phone all the time, but well, I think it's to check the time, but I don't remember where I was at, but I was recognizing I was somewhere and I needed to be somewhere else at, like, I'm just making up numbers, but like 5:30, and it was like 5:10, and so I caught myself. I would look at my phone probably every like minute, and I'm like, man, like I started thinking about that in that moment, and I was like, geez, like how much of your thoughts and are you consuming, like worried about being late and like looking at your phone? And it's like, I mean, if you just think about that, like how much brain power you're putting into that when you could just set an alarm or something. But I constantly check my phone for the time, and it's like, for what? Like, I mean, if you need to be somewhere, I get that, but like,
Yeah.
why would you check the time of the day, just in generally
Otherwise.
speaking? Yeah.
Well, I have to tell you, so today is day 4, the end of day 4, no phone. And it's a freeing, amazing feeling. I thought I would get bored and not have like things to do. And I was concerned of that just hasn't happened at all. Granted, we're filling our evenings with
Yeah.
sauna, cold plunge, and breathing. So, I mean, I guess it's understandable that it's not like I'm doing nothing, but I have also incorporated it a time for stillness, which I'm just doing absolutely nothing, which may seem crazy to some people, and I understand why. But it is, um, it's almost like meditating, but not, because I am not meditating, but I just allow to whatever happened to happen, which you don't do in meditation.
So you're fine with just sitting there thinking about.
If thoughts come up, I stare at the plants sometimes and like enjoy them. I mean, it seems really weird, but I try to like really like notice the space and be in it and be present and all sorts of different things. But
Well, I guess one thing that we've talked about a lot is like how enjoyable it seemed like our childhood was. When you didn't have a phone and like somebody just call your home phone and you weren't there, and like like instead of just nagging you and like texting you, and like the pressures and like all that is like there's like a longing for nostalgia and like a better time, because we feel like the phone or the TV or whatever is super nice, but it's not nice at all.
well, how many people in the world do you think can sit with themselves for 30 minutes?
Oh, I don't think that many.
And how freeing of a feeling it is if they could.
But what's funny is I think if anybody listened to this and they're like, oh yeah, I could sit with myself. I think a lot of it's one of those things where I think a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, I could totally sit with myself. But
I think you might surprise yourself.
yeah, I think most people need like a friend or family or the TV on or the phone. It's like I say, I didn't really know what that meant until I was 21 and I moved, and all I did was I took like a 12, 13 hour car ride by myself. And that was 12 or 13 hours by myself. I'd never realized I'd never really spent time by myself before that. So it was like I went through emotions and like thoughts and stuff, and it was weird because I mean, 21's still pretty young, but I think a lot of people avoid that, like I say, by spending time with family or friends or devices or whatever.
I think it's instinctual at times to avoid discomfort of being like in silence, but if you can get to a point that you can do it and you're comfortable with yourself, we talk about this. It's like facing this weird hard shit that is there's something freeing about it for sure.
Yeah. I had another thought, but I just lost it. I guess we were just thinking about a lot of old time stuff. Like I brought up the question of, I asked my kids, they don't live with me, so I asked them. I said, "Well, what are you doing like after school?" I said, I just go sit in my room by myself, kind of isolate. And I talked to you about that, about how that's what I used to do because I wanted to avoid my family. Um, so I isolated my room, but then I was asking you, like, well, what the fuck did I do? I mean, what'd you get? You got home at 3 or 4 or whatever, say 3, and then probably went to bed at like 10. I don't know. So, like, what did I do for 7 hours? And I don't think we figured that out. There's no devices,
I
no
cleaned.
TVs.
I like would throw balls against the wall. I would call people. I would read, fiddle with shit in my room.
That's funny that you say you'd call people. I think it was a total girl thing to do. Like girls would, like my sister was just like on the phone, like like thank God there was like how many people are going to understand this, but there was this thing called call waiting. But before call waiting, right, was like if your sister was on the phone,
just ring busy.
Well, yeah, you didn't know if somebody was trying to call you. I mean, maybe one of your friends is like, "Hey, man, I've like got concert tickets to Metallica or something." You wouldn't know because your sister was on the phone. And back then, it was like your mom or sister would be on the phone for hours, like, and that's probably why, right? They were just filling time, calling their friends or whatever. But then we got call waiting, which if somebody was on the phone, then a ring would come through, and then they could put that person on hold. But I guess I didn't use a phone a lot because I don't remember how that worked. But call waiting, and then yeah, it's just the phone was a funny thing. Cell phones have really, I enjoy as clumsy as the home phone was. I really miss it. Like we were watching Napoleon Dynamite, and you had that phone cord that was like 100 feet long. You'd have that phone cord that was 100 feet long, and you go talk in another room, and that phone cord just stretched out, and then when you put the phone back, it would all tangle up in itself and shit. And just the home phone was classic. Like, well, I mean, we took my kids on vacation, and there was a phone in the hotel room, and they were so intrigued by it. Right? They were like, "How do I talk on it? Like, how does somebody call you? Like, how do you call them?" And I'm like, well, we can't experience this because, like, I think if I get a phone call, they're going to charge me for it or something weird. But I mean, and there was another thing, right? Like, you used to get long distance charges that were, well, when we were talking about collect calls, how some asshole would be like calling you because they don't have 25 cents or whatever, or they don't have the money to pay long distance, so they make you pay for it, which is, I just think about that and I'm like, dude, how pissed would you be if like your mom called and it's like collect call and you're like, dude, can't you pay for your own phone call? Like, and then she's super chatty and costs you like $100 to talk to her. Like, oh, I don't think I would have done good with the collect calls. But I remember, don't you remember? Like, I remember the phone bill back then could easily be up in the hundreds of dollars. Like if somebody was chatty long distance or something.
Yeah, I remember long distance being very expensive.
I mean, that used to be a thing when you couldn't call somebody in another area code because it would cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I just talk to somebody in New York all day, every day.
Yeah, as long as you want.
Yeah. I mean, you can talk to somebody in another country.
Yeah.
You can video call somebody in another country free all day, every day.
Yeah. You absolutely can. Crazy.
Yeah. But then you brought up another thing that we've been doing, which has been life changing, is we have like a nighttime routine.
Yeah.
And to me, it's amazing. It is amazing because I want to do it and it's good for me, which I
Yeah.
don't know how many times you find that combo.
I think never.
Never.
I mean, I've loved working out that way. Like, it's pretty addicting to me, but this is
Yeah.
a kind of a different feeling. It's more like a spa feeling to me, all of it.
I don't know. It's weird. So we've been doing the sauna, a half hour in the sauna,
I'm doing 25 minutes, I'll be completely honest.
25 minutes. We're doing about 25 minutes to a half hour in the sauna, and then we're doing the cold bath. I do usually like 2.5 minutes. What are you doing? 3?
Yeah. But I mean, however long it takes me to get in, 10, 15 seconds. So I try to stay in a little bit longer. I don't know if you noticed that. But so around 3-ish minutes.
You know what I'm doing? It's super risky though. Is I take my phone into the cold
Yeah,
bath and I
I
put it on
saw
the
that.
side. I put it on the
You,
side, and then when my shoulders get below, then I look at the phone and I know exactly.
that's crazy that you're. I'm too scared to put my phone near the.
Well, they're supposed to be somewhat waterproof now, aren't they? I thought
Are
they
they?
were. I thought they were
I
water
still.
resistant at least. So anyway, I've been doing the sauna for a half hour and then the cold bath for 2 or 3 minutes, however long, and then we've been following that up with breathing exercises. 15, 20 minutes of breathing exercises, which for me has been amazing. The breathing exercise has been amazing because it feels like a really good way to meditate for me because I'm busy. It keeps my mind busy instead of just sheer willpower, which I'm not great at. But the breathing keeps my mind busy, and I don't know. Yeah, it seems like it gets a lot of things done. But after that cold, so we do the cold plunge. So we're like shivering. We're like bundled up in like winter clothes, and then do the breathing during that, and it's actually super pleasurable for me. Last night was a little intense because I was shivering because I put my head under in the cold bath for about 20 seconds, and so I got extra cold. But
I think it was pretty cold yesterday too.
yeah, I think the bath temperatures were in the low 40s, so that too. But I think if we do the breathing, I think probably wait till we're not shivering to do
I
the
do too,
breathing.
because it was a challenge for me too.
Yeah. Well, because so the cool thing in the breathing is you do like a or whatever breathing exercise you're doing, but then he'll have you do breath retention, which means you hold your breath. And I think I think one time I was with you, I did it for like 2:45 or 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I can't remember. But last night was probably like 1 minute. We did 3 rounds of like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, I think 2:30.
Hmm.
And I didn't even last a minute on any of them. I think it's because I was shivering. But anyway, it's super pleasurable, I think, to do those breathing exercises, especially because you get out of that cold bath, and I guess you don't experience it the same way I do, but like I get that cold bath and I'm like, whoa, like it's like amazing. It's amazing for me. Like I kind of went into the bath a bit moody last night, and it's 2 minutes in that cold bath, and I'm like, hey, like everything's fine. And that's really the way I felt. I got out and I'm like, hey, all right, that was. And I started thinking about that. I'm like, what if you just got in a really bad mood and you were just like, I'm going in the cold bath.
It's a good idea,
You sit there
actually.
for 2 or 3 minutes and you come out and you're like, I don't know, everything's great. Like,
Yeah, it is.
change your day.
I think it's hard to be in a bad mood in a cold plunge. It,
Well,
it just makes sense.
but that's what Wim Hof talked about, right? Is he was in a deep depression because his wife committed suicide,
Hmm.
and so he needed a way out, and so he just started getting in ice water. I mean, I don't know the Wim Hof story so good, but from what I understand, that's what it was about. Is he just started getting in the water to feel or not feel? I don't know how you'd say that.
Well, then he found a power within, which makes sense.
Well, but it's so interesting, like how, I mean, let's go back to the conversation we were just having about this inner voice fighting every little bit way against you. And even in his situation, when his wife commits suicide, like that, it wants to keep you in that dark place. It wants to keep you depressed. And I mean, it's amazing getting in that cold bath is like, we're not in that bad place anymore. There's nothing you can do about it. We're out. Like it really is. I mean, okay, so not only last night was I like kind of moody and it just snapped me out of it, but my mood in general. So tomorrow will be 14 days. I've been doing this for 13 days, and sometimes I've been doubling and tripling up. Meaning, like I'd do an hour of sauna and then 2 cold plunges, or an hour and a half of sauna and 3 cold plunges. I've done that a couple times. But my mood has been not. It's increased dramatically since doing this, and that's 13 days in.
Yeah, I think we've been both focusing on our mood too and trying to be in a good place even before we started this. So, yeah. Um I've been in pretty good moods myself.
Well, I guess you said you had trouble sleeping last night, but from some pain, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've had some trouble sleeping, but it's not related to the cold plunge.
Because I think that's been another huge benefit that I've seen is my sleeping has been amazing. And I think some of that, well, I think I'm just getting relaxed from mostly the sauna, but I think my body has released a ton of inflammation. Like usually when I get up in the morning, it's hard to put on a pair of pants. I can lift my right leg pretty good in my pants. My left leg is like I need to hold on to a door because my back's so stiff and I can't bend over. But ever since probably day 2 or day 3 of cold baths, like I can just stand up, putting my pants on, which probably doesn't sound too amazing to people. But I mean, my back has been jacked up since I've been 8 years old or something. Like my back has always hurt me my whole entire life. So the only way I've found that to fix that in the past is yoga, and yoga has completely fixed it. But I have to stay on it. I have to do yoga, 3 times a week to keep that pain away. And this is like I haven't done yoga in this whole 2 weeks, and it's like yoga kind of drifting off because the cold bath is curing all my inflammation. Which, to take the conversation back, I think that's why I'm sleeping better, is because like my arm will hurt and my shoulder will hurt and it causes me pain and like make me roll around and stuff, and I can't sleep. So
Yeah, I wish it was, I could say the same. Um,
who knows where you'd be without it, though?
yeah, that's true.
You might be way better off. So I think mood, sleep has been huge, inflammation's been huge, and I mean if that's enough right there, like those 3 things would be amazing. But I think there's a lot of things you can't see too, like the health wise of it. And this might be another weird one that people are like, why? But I like I enjoy like sweating, and I enjoy like knowing that my pores work. And ever since we're doing the sauna again, like it's just back on, like I can sweat again. So I think that's a big deal. I think that actually indicates health is when you can sweat. I think people who don't sweat or people who don't face um, any extreme temperatures. Like I never realized that until I went to hot yoga. But there's, I would say, a majority of people. I would say a high 90 percentage of people don't experience extreme temperatures. I think they sit in their house at 75 degrees. I think they leave their house to go to their job and it's 75 degrees in their car. And I think they go to their office and it's 75 degrees. They come home in their 75-degree car and they sit in their house again at 75 degrees. I don't think anybody sits on their deck. I mean, not anybody, but a lot of people don't sit on their deck when it's hot or cold, or everybody's used to being 75 degrees. And I don't know what that does to your body when it's so used to just a normal, basic, average temperature.
Well, yeah, I think our bodies are meant to cool off and heat up. So
for sure. But yeah, I've been enjoying that. So that has been a great nighttime routine that we've gotten into, is those three things. And the thing is like it winds up perfect. We be getting our exercise done, 6 or 7 usually, and then it's like sauna 8, 9, and then we've been getting to bed at like 9:30 or 10.
yeah.
So we're getting to bed earlier, which is great. But you have a problem with talking to me in bed, so we never go right to sleep. She's chatty Cathy.
Yeah, as you guys can tell, I'm the chatty one that keeps us up all night.
um, but it's been amazing because like I've always had trouble. We were like spending our nights differently. Like it could be TV or it could be the phone, or like it just never felt like quality. And now it feels like there is no time in my day, because I enjoy everything we're doing so much. There's no time in my day for any filler, any of the, like you're saying, like I don't know how I don't really have time for the phone. I mean, I'm using it way more than you are because you're not using it, but I don't feel like I have any time to spend in excess. You know what I mean? Like I'm not on the internet a ton, but if we weren't doing these things, it's kind of like, yeah, well, I mean, let's turn on YouTube or watch the TV or something. So it's been super welcome change.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah. And so we're still dealing with the hydroponics too. Still figuring out our food situation. So we doubled the hydroponics, and we were just talking today. I don't feel that's enough.
Yeah, especially if we're in a state of needing to feed ourselves and not like use the store.
Yeah.
It's definitely not enough.
Well, it's because we were talking about, we're not watching the news, and so we don't know anything that's supposed to be scaring us anymore.
Yeah.
But that's a good and bad thing, right? Because it might be a legit thing coming down the pipeline that's supposed to.
I think it depends how you look at it. I mean, we're preparing. Would we be preparing in a different way if we had some other fear?
Yeah, I don't know about the fear. If you had the truth, it would be different, but you don't know what the truth is anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, so there's two things that are concerning me these days greatly, and that's still a food supply, and it's the health, the overall health, which is actually our food supply. The health of our food supply is like, and it is because I'm listening to things. I listen to Joe Rogan, and I listen to these health experts, and they're talking about our food supply and like what's in them. But I mean, it all makes sense, like when you talk about flour and you talk about the wheat berry used to just be crushed up and you make bread, and then it had, like, what did they say, like all the amino acids, and it had like all the nutrients you need. Like it's one of the most nutritious rich things. And then all of a sudden, like they started
bleaching it.
Yeah, they started making flour commercially out of these wheat berries, and they took everything out. They took all the nutrients out, so much so that it was hurting people health wise.
Well, then they're enriching it with folic acid, which
the flour has folic acid in it.
It's enriched flour.
Well, I knew it was enriched because it was giving people health problems, but I didn't know it was folic acid. So we're finding out that folic acid is not something that most people can digest when you could just put folate. Folate's what you're missing, but they put folic acid in there. This is just what I've heard. So instead of putting the folate in there that you can convert, they put folic acid in there that most people can't convert, and so it causes more problems. But anyway, this is like, we're hearing this is the way it is with all our food. And then, of course, we know about
Monsanto.
Well, Monsanto, but then about them claiming that fat is bad for you and sugar is good. Well, I guess it was fat is bad for you. And so what do you replace fat with? Well, you need flavor, and so it's sugar.
Which is the opposite.
It's the opposite. Like, yeah, I mean, I've been eating fat for years, and I'm still alive somehow. I mean, that's the most popular diet in the country right now is keto, and because people have success and they feel great. That's, I don't know. But anyway, like all these things are happening with our food, and like I feel like you can't go to the store and you can't get nutritious meat, and you can't get nutritious vegetables.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you're not worried about glyphosate or pesticides, you have to worry about the nutrients of the vegetables or the fruit.
Well,
Like when were they picked 6 weeks ago and frozen? And I mean, it's all sorts of questionable issues.
when like you started working at a grocery store,
Hmm.
and then you told me like
It's
every
all
every
frozen.
vegetable's frozen. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like, well, that's funny, right? Because like everybody's like, well, you don't buy frozen vegetables; they're not the healthy ones. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but
They're
they're
all
all
they're all
frozen.
frozen. You might as well just go to the frozen food section and just buy your broccoli in a little cardboard container. Then.
Yeah, it may be something that people don't really think about, but I told you that guy was saying, like, if he had a choice to purchase something organic at the grocery store or non organic at a farmer's market, he would actually choose the farmer's market because it was likely just picked
Yeah.
and the nutrients would be there rather
Yeah.
than a 6 week old whatever from the grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I guess so it sums it up. I'm concerned about a food supply. I'm concerned about having something to eat, but I'm also concerned about my health. In why is everything lacking nutrition and even possibly hurting you?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of conspiracy theories, but one that's looking really good right now is that all this money is being made off your health or the lack of. And so it's like, well, is it crazy to think that they're poisoning you so they can get you into the hospital so they can make money? That's like,
I don't think it's a conspiracy that we know that they're making money off our health. I don't think that's
oh
a
no,
conspiracy.
that's not a conspiracy, but them poisoning us with food,
Yeah.
but that's like, so why are you putting folic acid in things instead of folate? Okay, well, maybe there's a reason. Maybe you can't put folate. I don't know. But then like the fat, and so you replace it with sugar. Okay, well, that's convenient. And well, you guys lied. Like New York Times did an article about that where you lied. You got paid off $50,000 to lie about that, and you still can't get that through people's heads. Everyone's fat free, fucking everything, because fat makes you fat somehow, which is ridiculous. But then the flour has to be enriched because they took everything out of it, and it's like the list goes on. If you look at our food supply of like, and nothing's good with like factory farming, like with cows and chickens stuffed next to each other, and like they're sitting around in their own crap, and like nothing's good.
Mm-mm.
So that's why I'm like focused on food. I want to double the hydroponics, I think, again, because we've got 58 plants, 58 placing for plants, and that's not
56.
pretty sure it's 58, but that's not seeming like enough. And so we talked about a plan today about breakfast. Well, we have our chickens now too, but we're waiting. It'll be another month. Well, that's actually kind of exciting. Another month.
It's coming up.
Another month they should be laying eggs. So we were talking like we could have eggs and spinach or something, like something to supplement those eggs, like a green. And then for dinner we were talking about going down the road, like one of our neighbors has grass-fed beef on his farm, buying a half a cow. So eggs and a supplement in the morning, and then steak and salad for dinner. And I mean, that's fairly nutritious. Take your supplements, take your multivitamins, and but we were talking about the beauty of that is also that we would be getting most of our food from ourselves through the eggs and through the hydroponics. That's all us. And then just a little bit's that meat. And so like if they did take all the food away from us somehow, we would be halfway there at least on how much food we need to gather for ourselves. And I'm still into, I've never talked about this, I guess, on here, but I'm still into foraging for mushrooms. Like I enjoy foraging for mushrooms, and I mean, I wouldn't mind. I think you could go out and forage on the property for greens and things to eat.
Well, yeah, there's dandelions and
I think there's a
grass
lot.
and bark, and I think, yeah, it may not be the tastiest meal you've ever had, but you certainly could survive off of it.
Yeah, and then in the summer, you know, been harvesting all. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 10 fruit trees now. So I think like 6 of those are producing fruit, and then we planted hundreds or thousands more to see how many will come up this year. So we might have, I mean, we could have 20 more apple trees, which would be awesome.
That
So
would be awesome.
got blackberries all over the place. So we're moving forward, but I guess the other thing we talk about is how many people are not even concerned about this, and how we've been doing hydroponics now 6 months, and we're just barely this is what we're saying. We've been doing this for 6 months, and if shit hit the fan today, we're screwed.
Yeah.
We're screwed. We are not ready. We're not even close to being ready. We might have to double the hydroponics, which has already been doubled. And then like we're not super secure on like the nutrients. We're not super secure on like where the plants go. Like nothing is
What we're
great.
making, I mean, lettuce is down for sure. It seems like chard is down for sure. Kale.
Yeah, there's a couple that are like good, but there's so much learning to do.
Yeah.
There's so much learning to do, and I wouldn't be surprised if we were another year out from having a good grasp on how to be self-sustaining with this. But this is what I'm saying is like you guys are freaking me out that aren't doing anything. Like you're freaking me out because I don't know what your plan is other than just stealing my shit, like or mooching off me. I don't know. Like it freaks me out. Like you guys, what is everybody waiting for?
I don't know.
But then the thing is, like we're talking about, okay, so the apocalypse never comes, the government never screws you over. Guess what? You still got hydroponics in your living room.
But guess what? You're still not getting nutrients from the grocery store.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is like it's a huge picture of like, oh, well, there's many reasons to do this.
It's not just an apocalypse at this point. It's you can't live off Doritos and Oreos. First of all, healthy.
Yeah.
So you need some like protein, meat, good meat, and vegetables and fruit, and you're not getting the nutrients you need from the grocery store.
Yeah, and but the thing about hydroponics is like, how much time do we put into it a day? Almost nothing.
Well, I would say you put 99% of the time in.
But what do? I plant some seeds on Sundays.
Yeah.
Which takes me 5 minutes. I put seeds in the thing, and then mostly everything else I do with it is I just watch it because I enjoy it, not because I have to.
Yeah.
Watch the water level, check for pH, and just kind of look at everything to see if you can notice
it
the
is
health.
enjoyable to look at the things, especially when they start like thriving. And, yeah.
So it's, but I mean, literally per week, if I couldn't monitor it at all, half hour a week, maybe, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Unless you had to switch out the nutrients more often. So maybe an hour a week, but that's not even true. I don't think that's a lot. But most of it's just thought. But that's what I'm saying. I enjoy it, so it's.
Yeah, you have your little hobbies that you really like doing.
Yeah, and I think it's one of them.
Yeah.
Growing things is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually funny because I think I've been thinking about like what I've been into, and I think you've been dragged into it too, or you've enjoyed it on your own. But we've made apple cider vinegar.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, we've done hydroponics.
Yeah.
I'm super into kombucha right now. I'm really enjoying growing or making my kombucha, however you say it. Grown our own mushrooms. What else have we done? Oh, we're doing microgreens. Like that's
I really enjoy the microgreens.
Yeah, so it's
I actually enjoy the way they taste too. I don't know if I'm a nut job, but I think they have good flavor.
No, on like a salad or eggs.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
So I think we've really gotten into like being little homemakers. I guess I make my own protein bars.
Yeah. I just don't have protein bars anymore. those cookies.
How come? Not enjoying them?
I don't think, yeah, it's just not what I want to be doing, having a cookie every day. It doesn't seem right.
But it's not a bad cookie.
I
It's
don't
like
know. I'm not sure that oats are that great for you.
so everybody can listen to that. So Carol doesn't eat oats because they're not good for you. That's where she's at.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But that's funny. We talked about that too, is like how I feel bad because like the kids will come over and I'll eat potatoes with them
Yeah, that's not.
or rice. Like if I eat rice, then I'm like, I really need to stop eating rice.
Well, I ate my leftover mod last night and I was thinking that I'm going to start getting minis when we go out for pizza. I can't do leftovers.
Yeah, leftovers
It's
can be a
just,
mistake.
I felt gross last night after eating that pizza.
Or you just go out when we have cheat meals, you go out hungry.
Yeah, that would be the other. It needs to all be gone. I can't double up. It's just.
Yeah. Yeah. So what else we got going on? That's kind of the sum it up.
That's all. I feel like we always have something new going on. I think we're kind of just both that way. We enjoy challenging ourselves. I am thoroughly enjoying this phone thing.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're setting up. We just set up our new business.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Just working out. We got the bank account, got the business name and the tax numbers and all that stuff. And so we're gonna set up for trademarks and
Yeah, we're finishing our logo and then we'll do trademark and
set
get
up some
on
stuff on
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah. So I guess that's the direction we're going to be headed. Is we're going to go into Amazon territory because to me, business has changed a ton in the
And
last couple years.
to me, social media is debilitating.
Well, that too. It's too hard to deal with social media.
Yeah, I would rather do something else.
But it's weird to think, like, the conclusion I've come to is that websites are dead, which they're not really, but they're dying because it's like we're all going to the mall rather than the strip malls. And websites are strip malls
Yeah.
where Amazon is the mall, but also at the mall you have Amazon, you have eBay, you have Etsy, you have all these giant stores. And so nobody wants to go to the strip mall with a mom and pop. It's like the mom and pop has to sell at the mall.
Yeah.
And that's what I've seen. And the biggest problem is advertising. Like, it's ridiculous to think you can't advertise with the internet and social media, which you can, but anybody who's even watching this, like if you watch this on YouTube and then a commercial comes up, you're like, okay, skip. Like nobody, maybe I'm the only one, but I feel like nobody's like, oh, what's this advertisement about? This is great.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we're weird, but yeah, I don't think so. I don't think people want advertisements.
Yeah, when you want to shop for something, you go shop for something. When you want to watch a podcast, you watch a podcast.
Yeah.
It's you want to do what you're doing, and I think if anything, you could probably put an advertisement up in the middle of this podcast, and like people be turned off and not buy it because they saw it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's our plan, is to go with Amazon because dealing with people directly through social media is a nightmare. People are so unruly, so hard to deal with.
That, and I think it's hard to reach your real audience who would love you.
Yeah.
So you're not in touch with your audience.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, we'll try out Amazon. We're gonna do like a health and wellness.
We're gonna kill it on Amazon.
um. Yeah. So we have a lot going on, I guess. Always, I think.
We like it that way.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, this weekend I got to build some nesting boxes for the chickens, do some other projects. So it is keeping busy. So I think that's good.
I don't think it's overwhelmingly busy. I think
Mm-mm.
it's like it's all stuff that we're loving and enjoying for the most part.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I've talked to you about is stopping to be present in the moment in everything you're doing, like what you're working on, enjoying what you're working on, enjoy working on nesting boxes, or enjoy working on a new business venture, or enjoy shutting an old one down. Or,
Well, it's really, I think enjoying the experience is key because if you think about anyone, I don't know, let's just say in a month you have a skiing accident and you're paralyzed from the neck down. And how amazing it would be if you'd be like, if I could only just make some boxes. I mean, it sounds weird, but
yeah,
you'd kill to be able to make some nesting boxes.
yeah,
You get cancer and you're on chemotherapy or whatever people do. You'd kill to be able to cold plunge, sauna, like go on a hike, and you can't do these things. So
yeah. I was just fantasizing, like if I got paralyzed, you would have to build everything for me, and I'd have to tell you how to build it.
you would.
And I would just sit there and I go, Carol, no, no, no. And I'd yell at you, like we talked about. Like you'd push me on the grocery store and be like, go that way. Just, everything you do would be wrong, and I'd tell you about it. When you're doing me like my life's favor.
Yeah.
These people are hilarious and not hilarious. Yeah. So, what do you think? 47 minutes. We spilled a lot of time just talking about our lives.
I think we do that every once in a while and just go for an update of, which I think is cool because I think what we're doing is pretty cool.
Well, the thing I've thought about these podcasts is like, what if nobody ever watches them, which is fine. But what if like we died and your great grandkids wanted to know about their grandma and grandpa or something, and they're like, well, shit, here's some podcasts, and they made 99 podcasts and quit. Like, but they could watch it. I think you could, it's like you watch Joe Rogan, you feel like you know the guy.
Yeah.
And how cool would that be to watch a bunch of podcasts that your grandma or grandpa made, and you're like, oh wow, I never knew that about them, and look how young they look. I mean, just to do these podcasts for those reasons, I think it's fun. Their kids can watch it, or
I think it's fun. I think it's something we do together, which is awesome to me that we're doing it together.
It makes us better people.
For sure.
Doing stuff that is a little bit hard, uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay, so you good then?
I'm good.
Okay, so like normal, check us out on Facebook, Flirting with Realities, Spotify, and YouTube. And again, if you want to comment, and we'll interact with you on the Facebook or YouTube platforms. Tell us if you want us to talk about something, or if you want to share something with us, and you have a thought about something you want to talk about, whatever. Let us know, and we'll keep going. I think maybe we should just, have to go to that number 100 at least, since nobody else does it.
Oh, I thought that was what we were doing.
Yeah, we'll keep going. Later in life, we want to travel and stuff, so that would be fun to do all that too. Whatever.
Whatever.
Okay, well, I guess we're good then. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.